What are your thoughts on this race?
Well, I've really enjoyed the race up until this juncture. I find that where I'm being left out of debates, myself and Sam McCann, being left out of these debates is doing a disservice to the citizens of Illinois, where we have two very unpopular candidates. We have an incumbent that was voted the most unpopular Republican governor in the United States, and yet it seems as though we're being led to believe as a state that there's only two people in this race. And we're doing a disservice to the people all across Illinois in not allowing them to see and hear the platforms of the other two candidates who worked very hard through our very rigorous ballot access to get onto the ballot. And I think people need to hear those ideas. They need to have the two mainstream parties challenged in their thought processes and what they advocate for. And I'm just really disappointed that the League of Women Voters, that AARP, the Sun-Times, that all of these different news agencies and organizations seem to have made a concerted effort to silence independents and third parties.
Let's talk downstate Illinois. You said Antioch. That's a...
I'm all the way on the Wisconsin border. I'm
okay, so
2 miles.
We can go.
Yep. I mean, I am just right there.
So we use the term downstate Illinois. Basically, it's Illinois that's not Chicago.
Right. South of I-80
Yes,
is everything that I understand.
But you guys, I would assume, would fit into that. And then the point of the question is like, you know, so much is focused on Chicago, Chicago, Chicago.
Right.
What about the rest of the state? What are your values there? What are your ideas for Illinois?
Well, you know, I really, people might laugh at me when I say this, but whenever I get outside kind of the collar counties and Cook County region and I get downstate, I can literally feel my blood pressure come down. It's not as busy down here. There's more back roads and small towns, and that's how I grew up. It's what I relate to, and maybe that's why I feel so much more comfortable coming downstate, simply because I'm a small town guy, and I understand a lot of the struggles that smaller communities and farming communities deal with. That's what I grew up in Louisiana, where the majority of people, they worked in farming and agriculture or they worked in construction. My family, they were all framers and roofers and manual labor. And so I grew up building homes and I mean, I was more just manual labor and used to carry shingles and plywood and things like that. But I understand the culture and I understand feeling forgotten. And I think that that's important, that people that live downstate can relate to somebody that's running for office. I mean, I spend a lot of my time, or I did before I got into politics. I like to bow hunt and to be outdoors and bass fish and just really enjoy, you know, everything that God has created for us. And I enjoy those things. And I think that people downstate, they don't feel like they can relate to most candidates. And I believe that I have that relatability. So it's important to me that, number one, we recognize the value of people that live downstate, that they're extremely hardworking men and women that want the best for their families, but they want to know that their state is also going to provide the same type of resources and attention to them downstate as they do get in Chicago, and rightfully so. They deserve that as much as every other citizen, and that's where I feel that I'm really set apart from my opponents, is that I don't want to live and to legislate from out of Springfield, from in the Capitol. I feel to be an executive leader, and much like what I saw in the military, it's being boots on the ground. It's being inside all 102 counties and being open and available to the public so that they can access you. I feel that if we kind of open up that accessibility to our most senior executive leadership, that people are going to we're going to restore that trust in government that we don't have right now. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that we can work on.
Absolutely. I like that answer. Let's talk about then two of your opponents, Pritzker and Rauner. Rauner being a millionaire, Pritzker being a billionaire. How much do you think that and the amount of money they can pour into their campaigns has affected this race?
The vast majority. That is absolutely what is, I believe, harming not just Illinois, but politics in general. We hear it all the time. Get money out of politics. Get the big money out of politics. I'm not funded by any political action committees. I'm not in backdoor conversations with any lobbyists or special interest groups. Nothing to that effect. The only people that I'm accountable to are the people of Illinois. I don't have a party boss to answer to, and I think that that is so vitally important that we could place somebody like myself in the position in the governor's office where we're in partisan gridlock continuously. We had over 2.5 years without a budget passed. Haven't had a balanced budget in God knows how long now. And I think that that brings value to that office that we have never had. And that's something that we desperately need. Somebody that can look on both sides of the aisle, and being a libertarian, I have the ability to meet up and agree with conservatives on many things, and the same with Democrats. There's plenty of room for me to negotiate, to help to move good legislation forward or look at bad legislation and get rid of it. And I think that's one of the most valuable assets that I bring as a libertarian. And more so, when we become an established party here in the state, I think a tangible that most people don't consider is that 40 to 50% of seats are going unopposed. Republicans won't run candidates in Democratic strongholds because they know it's a waste of resources, so they don't even bother. Libertarians would run candidates, but we need the same fair ballot access. I had to get 5 times the amount of signatures just to get onto the ballot. And trying to replicate that in all of our local seats, it's not feasible. We need fair ballot access. We need fair maps. And I believe in doing those types of common sense moves, we will improve the political landscape in the state of Illinois.
Term limits?
Term limits are huge.